Hello! Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. What's up? How's everybody doing? Hi. Oh my god, guys. Welcome to the first ever Housing Roundtable. My name is Daniel, also known as Daniel SunSword from the community. I am joined by many people, many amazing people from the community, also the devs. Hey, would you guys like to introduce yourself? Hello?
Hello.
Oh my god, guys. We have so much to ask about housing. We're so excited. Who's joining me today from the community? Who's going to help me ask questions?
Would you like us to say, introduce ourselves?
Yeah, go ahead. Whenever you're ready. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you.
I think I have to switch to the Discord tab whenever I have to talk to you guys, huh? Okay.
Yeah, if it's in the browser.
Yeah, okay. So who wants to introduce themselves first? Ducky, Emily?
Okay, I can go first. Hello guys, I'm Ducky Bub. I like to stream Wizard101 on my Twitch channel as well as other games, and I love housing. It's one of the main things I do in Wiz, so I'm super excited to talk about all things related to housing and Wizard101.
Hi guys, I'm Emily Knight, and I am very excited to be discussing housing with the devs today and hoping to get really good answers for the future.
We're super excited. We have some amazing questions to ask today to the devs. And from the devs who's joining me today, we have...
I'm Joel, also known as DCS on the forums and Twitter and whatnot.
Hello, I'm Professor Falmea, game director for KingsIsle, and y'all are so talented and creative and amazing, and I'm just so happy to be talking housing today.
Should I jump in? I'm Gary Scott Smith. I post on the forums as Arthur Weathersfield. I'm pretty much to blame for all the housing functionality. I co-designed or designed all the most of the housing functionality, and I coded most of it. So I started at KingsIsle in 2006, and I started working on Wizard in 2008, and primarily my focus has been housing, although I've done a lot of other stuff.
In fishing and astrology and castle magic.
And gardening and team up and lots of other stuff too, but most of the housing stuff is you can blame on me.
Well, I can go next. I believe I am last. My name is Mathew Anderson. I go by Sparck in Wizard101. I am the community manager at KingsIsle, and I will say it right now, one of my favorite, not the only favorite here, but one of my favorite features of Wizard101 is the housing system. I love touring all of your houses, and so this is I think really our first roundtable with the community we've participated in yet this year. And starting off with housing has just got me thinking oh, this is so cool. I can't wait to talk with you guys and answer some questions that I know Daniel and your team have for us, as well as I think we might get to some Twitch questions too if we have time.
Yes, we will.
Super excited, guys. Do you want to start, Daniel, with the past section?
Yeah, so we did actually break everything up into past, present, and future. So we're going to be starting from the past about housing, and then we're going to get into the present and then the future. So we could start. Are you guys ready to start?
Yep. I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. The first question is, What is the history of housing, and how did you go about expanding with the creation of castles and lands?
Well, I could talk about that from my point of view. When I started in 2006, I was working on another MMO that was eventually canceled. And on my second day of work, the producer of that MMO came over and he said, "Hey, how'd you like to work on player housing?" And I said, "Well, couldn't I work on something smaller to get my feet wet?" But I told him I'd think about it, and the next day I said, "Well, okay, let's try it." And so I did some research. I was really familiar with Animal Crossing. I've played all the Animal Crossings, and I know it really well. If you've seen what I did to fishing, you could probably have guessed that. But I did some research. I played a bunch of The Sims, and the first version of housing had a lot of sim-like features. But in 2008, I was asked to port that first housing system over to Wizard, and so that's what I did, and so that's where it came from. It came from another game, actually. There was I could tell you some stuff. I could tell you like where the attic came from. That's an interesting story. In the original design for Wizard, the designers at the time wanted it to, whenever you switched houses, you would pick up all the items automatically, and then you'd have to put them down in the new house. And so that meant that you needed some place to keep the items when in between houses. And so that was where the attic came from. It was the place to put all your stuff when you went to a new house. At the time, I thought that was a bad idea, and I wrote a long email saying how horrible that was, and nobody would want to do that. And I couldn't convince the designers to not do that. But luckily, the owner of the company, Ely, he tried out this new housing system, and he saw that all your stuff got picked up when you switched houses, and he said, "Hey, this is a horrible idea. Why are we doing this?" And saved us. And so, but we kept the attic because it was already there, and we had the code for it. So that's where the attic came from. Was originally it was a place where all your stuff went when you switched houses.
That's honestly so insane. I can't imagine having everything picked up every time you switched houses.
Oh my god, right? That would be so... Oh my god.
Yeah.
That would be very tiring.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, luckily, we were very fortunate we didn't have to do that. So.
It's awesome how it all worked out.
Yeah. I can tell you where Castle Tours came from too, if you're interested in that. I proposed that back in 2008, right after we launched housing, because in 2008 there was only 4 worlds in Wizard, and I thought Wizard was content starved. There was basically you could finish those 4 worlds, and then there was not a lot to do. Or I guess there was 5. That was Dragonspire was there by then, and I guess that was 2009. So yeah, so there was 5, and you could finish those, and then there was nothing else. And so I thought. Hey, if you could visit other people's houses, that would be something to do. But it took 5 years to convince the powers that be to let me do it. And so, but eventually they said yes, and we did it. And so, but that's where it came from, was that at the beginning there was now we have 13 worlds or 17 worlds or something. So there's a lot to do. But at the beginning there wasn't a lot to do, and I was thinking, hey, touring other people's houses would be something cool.
For sure. I'm so glad that we have a castle tour system. I love seeing everyone's projects personally, like a really easy access way to see those things.
Yeah, I think the new event, I think is really helping players discover it.
Oh yeah, totally, for sure.
Because there's not a tutorial for it, and there's no in-game tips or anything. But I think the event is like advertising. It's saying, hey, there's a system over here, you can go try it.
I know the event makes me certainly go check out castles more often.
Yeah, Castle Tours is one of my favorite features in decorating. It's actually what made me start decorating in the first place.
Well,
Awesome.
It provides examples of cool houses.
So when we had the week-long housing event go on, we ended up with 9.4% of all players in the game for that month that actually participated in that event, which was pretty fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of events, I want to do another housing contest at some point. You all up for that?
Yes, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love contests.
yeah, we're working on kind of the plan for contests throughout the year. We try to, work around updates and other things. And I was just speaking to some of our team members earlier today about, well, we have this housing roundtable chat with the community later. Housing contests, that's on our mind too. Where and when should we do those? We'll probably do one for Halloween as well, because it's always cool seeing the spooky house decorations that you all put out. But something maybe sooner too. We'll see.
I'm in. Just don't put my house on it.
Why not? We want to see your house.
My house used to be really nice looking. I spent a lot of time making massive fantasy castle look just how I wanted it. And then back in 2019, when I took over the Crown Shop work, now every day I have to go in and buy whatever it is I have for sale so I can make sure it's all working exactly the way it should. So now my house looks terrible because I just dumped everything there.
Ooh, a storage house.
I had this really awesome, I think it was the Safari house. It came out right around when fishing did, and I was a huge fishing enthusiast. So I have all these aquariums lining like the walkway. So I have this big aquarium house, but otherwise my houses just look like there's just junk all over, really cluttered.
I have a couple houses on Castle Tours right now. In collections, I have one house that has every fish in an aquarium, and I have another house that has, I have a Red Barn farm that has every plant in Second Spring. So, actually, I came up with the name Second Spring. We needed a name for that spell, and over the weekend I was like thinking about what to call it, and it just came to me. Second Spring.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I have another question for you guys. How did you come up with the idea of letting the players program their house using Castle Magic?
Okay, well, so I can talk about that. So first of all, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of. I designed, I coded it, I named Babbage Bassett, and I wrote his tutorial. So I actually wrote. It was so cool to hear a voice actor read the stuff I wrote. I was like, I can understand why the writers like that. So where it came from was I'd written puzzle systems for a bunch of other games. I've been in the industry a long time, and so I'd been thinking about what a puzzle system that players could use would look like, and the main problem was trying to make it understandable so that players could understand, because it's kind of esoteric. These things all connect together to do something in an abstract way, and so I'd been thinking about it for a long time. That's actually where the housing games came from, because I was thinking about it. If we had a puzzle system, what could we use it for? And that got me thinking, well, maybe you could make games with it, and I could give you pieces that would let you make interesting games. And then I thought, well, I could just make you the games. I mean, then you could, and so then I thought, well, okay, let's make a game. And so that's actually where the housing games came from. Was I'd been thinking about a puzzle system and thought of those. And the pet breadcrumbs were kind of a first step. Pet breadcrumbs were an experiment to see if something abstract would make sense. So pet breadcrumbs they're a player-facing pathing system, and so we wanted to see, would players understand what these things that you can only see when you're placing them, and so that was the kind of the first step, and then the real breakthrough was making it magic themed. Everything in Wizard seems like it resonates more if it's magic themed, and so once I thought of, hey, what if these were spells and the objects were magical, then that would be a way that players could understand how they connected things together, and so that was the main thing that made it feasible. And so then I wrote a design, and I showed it to the production and management and got it approved. But that's where it came from, was trying to make a player-facing puzzle system.
I think castle magic is one of the most unique aspects of wizard decorating than any other game.
I've explored housing myself in a lot of other games. I've been in the industry for quite a while, too, all the way back to experiencing housing in Ultima Online in 1997.
I worked on Ultima Online.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
housing. Well, you know how that started. That was
Yeah.
interesting. You had houses. You had houses on top of houses. It was weird.
Yeah, I didn't work on the housing aspect of it, but I spent a year on Ultima Online in between stints on Ultima 9.
But even with the abilities many other games have with housing, even back then, I've never seen a game have castle magic like Wizard 101.
So inspiring just to see the length of someone's creativity. That's one of the most exciting things that I love, is that you could just meet so many different people that just have different levels of creativity, and like they really do just push the boundaries, and I love seeing really awesome creations like that.
The games that people have made in it are really impressive.
I think I remember Wizard Chess.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah, it's like amazing, like how somebody could take like a few single items, like furniture items, and make them into something totally different. It's so creative and amazing. I love that.
Yeah,
All of the customization that you can get with castle magic, all of the size variations, added movement, things turning invisible and visible, it really allows every house to be unique.
it makes them feel magical, I think.
Sure.
That's the big thing, is that before Castle Magic, the furniture, it was static. It didn't, it didn't move, it didn't do anything, and so it makes things look more magical.
Totally, for sure.
I think I see you, Daniel, in the game
Yeah.
decorating the airship right now.
This is the new airship that came out yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right? One of you
Yes.
will have the
It
chance.
came out on the 10th.
Yes. It looks amazing. It's awesome. But one of you will have the chance to get one today, actually. Thank you to Sparck.
Neat.
Can't wait to see who it is.
But you all will also get a code as well for an item. So exciting stuff.
Yes, so as we move on to our present segment, I think we should start the raffle for someone to win the code that we'll choose later at the end of stream.
I'm up for that. Yep. I'll start that right now, actually.
So while Daniel is setting that up, I'll go ahead and ask the first question of our present segment, which is, how does the Castle Tours rating system work? As in, how do the visits and the ratings equate with each other?
Okay, well, I can answer that. The ratings to get on Leaderboard, it's just an average of all the people that rated the house. There's a minimum number of people that have to rate the house to be on a leaderboard, and then I'm just sorting the averages. I saw a player comment a while back that the 1 to 4 stars isn't granular enough, and so I've been thinking about that as I've been rating houses, and I think that they're probably right. And so I've been thinking maybe we ought to go to 8 stars. That it would be like kind of like 4, 1. It would let you do half stars maybe, So it would be, because there's some houses that I have trouble, they're like maybe like 2.5 stars, or they're it's not quite a 4-star house, but it's better than a 3-star house, or I don't know. So it just feels like maybe 4 is not enough stars, and so I've been thinking maybe we need a little more granularity.
For sure. I think that is one of the problems that a lot of people talk about, where since we go and rate them pretty often, and there's a lot of the times where it's like, oh yeah, like I really like this one, but maybe not like full credit, but
Yeah.
like I don't want to give it less, you're kind of stuck in the middle of like, I don't really want to give this a 2, but I don't want to give this a 3 either.
Yeah, it feels like going to 8 stars would be better. I don't know when I'd have time to do that. I'm very busy, but I have it on my list, so I've been thinking about it.
Gary being busy isn't interesting.
One thing
yes.
One thing I'd like to do for the spring update, I haven't done it yet, and so I can't guarantee that I'll have time. But I'm hoping to to spend a little time and get it in is to display the badge credit when you rate a house. I'm thinking maybe in chat, just so that because I've seen some reports that there's a bug, and I don't know if there really is or not, but we're limiting the badge credit to 10 houses a day, and so I'm thinking of displaying, whenever you rate a house, like 1 of 10, badge credit, 2 of 10 badge credit, and then once you get to 10, I could say something like, come back, rate next, tomorrow for badge credit or something. So just to be really clear about when you're getting the badge credit for rating houses. I'm going to try to get that in for the spring update, but I haven't done it yet, so it's not for sure.
There are definitely a few bugs I've noticed with that. I'm really glad that we have confirmation on the daily limit to rating houses for badges. Another thing that I've noticed is that if you're rating a dorm room and the owner is inside, it tells you you have to visit both inside and outside in order to rate.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that bug. I can go look for that.
Mission accomplished. We've
I'm taking
found
a
a
note
bug.
now.
Oh, I'm sure there's lots. The last night we hotfixed a bug for Castle Magic where a player had. This happens occasionally where a player had found a way to get Castle Magic in endless loop, so that when they couldn't go to their house, and so we hotfixed in last night's hotfix. It had a fix for that.
I remember that happened to my friend a few months ago. She tried to make a ski lift, and it just made her insta-crash every time she walked into her house.
Oh yeah, I remember fixing that. Whenever a player reports that to customer service, what I do is we get so you have a number associated with your character, and so we get that number, and then we have our operations department save off a copy of your house. And so then I take a copy of your house and I upload it locally onto my local version of the game, and I can actually go into your house and see the exact problem, and then I can tell. So I can see what's wrong, and then also I can tell when I fix it. I can tell that it's fixed. So they make it like a snapshot of your house, and I can run around as your character and go see, oh, this is what's going wrong, and so I remember fixing that one. That was another issue where where it was causing a endless loop that caused it to crash. It's hard to predict, when with so many different things, it's hard to predict all the ways that players are using them.
Players definitely have a lot of creativity and can use castle magic in very special ways. I myself have made a moving ship that will carry you from one island to another to have access to the rest of the house. And I know a lot of people have done similar things with moving trains and such.
Yeah, I wish we could do real support. That would be so much better. If right now I assume that you have to keep walking or something, because it's not going to move your player while you're moving.
Yeah, you have to make a platform and you walk along with the item.
Yeah, maybe someday we can fix that so that it will just drag you along like a moving support, because that would let you do some really interesting stuff.
So cool, since that also applies to elevators, since I've made elevators in some of my houses, and you have to kind of move along the moving object so you don't sink through it, and that would be super amazing.
Yeah, so someday we'll fix that. I know it's a problem.
Alrighty.
It's complicated.
Alrighty. Next question. I'm pretty sure many people want to know this. Since Gauntlets have their own category on Castle Tours now, is there any way we can have access to them without being friends with the owner?
Somebody else should answer that question.
I don't know.
Well, it's something that we could look into. I know the rule was made for reasons back in the day. We'll have to figure out what those reasons were and see whether it's feasible to do so.
I have a question about that, actually.
Yes.
I did that, or I proposed that because it had bothered me that Gauntlets were affecting rating of houses, that
Yes.
people were rating houses highly just because they had gauntlets, not because they were great houses, and so that's why they're going to separate category. Does it bother you guys that there's a workaround of you can put the gauntlet down after you add it to Castle Tours? I mean, should
Yeah,
should I
that
fix
affects my
that?
ratings. If
Should-
I see a person that has a house in like a seasonal category with a gauntlet, I'll dock a couple of stars because they're bypassing the gauntlet category.
So
Mhm.
I could fix that. I could like when I send somebody to their house, maybe I could rescan. I could rescan the house and see if there's a gauntlet. I mean, I could do something to, or maybe I could. It would be tricky, but I could not let you place a gauntlet if your house is on Castle Tours. I mean, I could do something like that. I mean, there's a few options there. I realized that it's that you could do that, and I was just wondering if it's worth the effort to fix it.
Oh, for sure.
For sure,
I
yeah.
think it bothers a lot of people just because you guys made a separate category for them
Yeah.
specifically, and it's a lot of people. It's already hard to get your houses out there sometimes. So if people just kind of try messing up the categories like that, it definitely does bother a few people.
Okay, well, I'll put it on my list, but no promises about when. It's a complicated problem, so
No problem.
There's actually
Yeah,
something else
there's
similar
things like that.
where you have to have 50 items inside or outside a house in order to put it on tours, and people will put 50 items, put it on tours, and then remove the item. So it's very common to see houses with 0 items on
yeah, I've thought about that too. I mean, I could rescan. If I did one, I could do the other pretty easily, because they're basically the same problem. So I could fix that too.
Awesome.
Sounds like we're gonna loading you up for the rest of the year. here.
Well, I'm already loaded up for the rest of the year, so it's more of a matter of what year I'll get to these.
Sounds
Well, with all these great, considerations, obviously we'll never be able to get to them all. But please do, anybody who has ideas, not just, ways to improve housing tours, castle magic, and everything else involved that we're talking about today, but just, new ideas for housing or for houses. And like the airship that just came out. Put them into our forums. Daniel, in your team, I don't know if you have your own community forums, but we look at the community forums as well. But feel free to go to the Wizard101.com official forums. Here I am promoting our website, and put them into the ideas section, the dorms section it's called, and let us know anything from today, especially you could say hey, I watched that live stream with you guys, and I thought this idea, and feel free to post about it.
Of course, I'll actually do that. It's very exciting.
and I'd like to back that one up also with furniture and decoration ideas. If there are things in game that you like that are in the scene somewhere that you want to have in your house, please post that up there. I have this big running list of items that, as the artists have time, I have them rip things out of the world.
That's actually a really good idea for a topic.
And
in
I
the
would
forums.
love to have more people putting ideas.
There's a
out.
thread on our forums, and there's a thread on Central that are both hundreds of pages with things that people want. It's just hard to keep track of them. Some of them we've already made into housing objects, and some of them we haven't, and it's hard to track down, if we have, and also it's hard to get bandwidth, artist bandwidth to actually pull them into and make them housing objects.
If there's anyone that wants to go through those and provide us a fresh, updated list, because like you said, Gary, there's some of these lists are really old. And I was also going to suggest to anybody eager who has forum access, if you want to create another additional list, maybe cross-link them so we know where each of them are. But this other list that's specific to what Joel just proposed, the idea of what are the items you want that are already in the game somewhere, they're just not part of housing yet. Because we could use a list just for that.
That's what these two lists were. They were.
Oh, those were. Oh, okay.
And I think the one on Central is better because I think Central allows pictures, so you could take a picture of what the object is.
Yeah, I know.
The picture's really.
Yeah. In addition to that, it's really helpful if you could if players could post the zone that it's in, so that to help us find what the item is. If they could say, oh, this is a tree in commons or whatever, that would be helpful too.
I remember like months ago there was a Twitter thread where a bunch of people from the housing community just got a bunch of pieces from different worlds that they wanted to become a furniture in the future. So maybe I could find that and then post it somewhere.
Yeah, I was on that thread also, but if you find it, you go ahead and send it back to me. But I do remember making a list of that and sending that off to the
Yeah,
lead artist so that he could have the artists start pulling those out as they had time.
for sure.
I did start making my own list for items that I would like to see. I think a very notable item is the plant life from Chrysalis. I know a ton of people who would love to see those added as furniture items.
You know, it'd be nice to have a contest where the winner got to have their favorite item made into a housing object.
That'd be really
That's
interesting.
Wait,
That'd be
that's
awesome.
Yeah,
That's honestly really cool.
you could do it every KI live.
It might take a couple months for it to show up. Though.
Yeah.
Right now I'm at Finnegan's creation. This is absolutely stunning. I really love this.
I'm enjoying just sitting here watching the stream. It's just so many cool houses. That is amazing.
All right. Well, I have another question related to present things. So currently we have new today and random categories. Can we extend these into adding a new category, for example, new this week?
Yeah, I guess when I did that, I was thinking about that. You know, you have to stop somewhere. I mean, you could say new this month, or I mean, I don't know, new. I mean, it just I guess there's space for another button. New this week would be possible. I guess I wonder how often do people click new today versus random? Like I mean, I usually just do new today because there's so many every day.
I feel like for me personally, I don't think I've ever actually used random. I'm always doing new today. That's my experience. I don't know about Ducky or Emily or anybody else in chat.
I try to do both since usually the majority of the time you get most of your on the first day, and after that it's really hard to, because you have to cycle through all of them if you go through random. Like, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because I feel a lot of the time I really hope or kind of wish that there's a way you can get kind of some of the newer-ish houses, but not like out of the random pool, like something maybe involving like within a week, as I said, for example.
Well, what if I did something like I got rid of new today and we just had random, and I weighted the new houses a little more? Like in random, I could say like we could just have a random button, and I could say maybe like 25% of the time it's it's today, and another 25% of the time it's this week, and then the other 50% it's completely random. But just have one, because right now having two there, that's why you get all the ratings the first day, is because everybody is using new today. But if we just had one, then maybe that we could get people to look at houses, throughout, as long as any of the houses that are on the tour. Maybe that would be better.
I feel
Interesting. Oh, sorry, Emily.
another question that kind of relates to this is that currently houses stay on tours for 60 days and the leaderboards just don't budge at all for 2 months. I was wondering if we could get that down to maybe 30 days, so the leaderboards would be changing once a month.
So originally, originally houses were only 30 days, and we doubled it to 60 days at some point. And the reason why was I thought that way you didn't have to re-add your house every month. I thought by making it longer, you could leave your house. It's less effort, because I thought there are I thought players might add their house and then not want to add it the next month, and so that was the motivation to add it longer, was that way you wouldn't have to add it as often, but it would be easy to go back to going in once a month. Or maybe maybe the ratings should decrease the longer that your house is on the tour, so that to shake up the leaderboards more. I could do something like that too.
Houses staying on tours for 60 days, but only being able to be on top.
Yeah, I could do something like that. I could easily do that.
That sounds kind of cool.
It's
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
neat.
part of the issue sometimes is that, you know, we kind of want to see different people's projects at the top of the leaderboard, and once they get stuck at the top, you know, they tend to stay there for a really long time, and then other people aren't able to, you know, try to get to the top again until it resets.
and so a couple things changing random would help that, because what happens is those people that get to the top, they don't ever get rated again because because everybody's using new today, so they're not getting any bad ratings. So that's why the ratings are static. It's because they got some high rating and then the rating is never changing. Maybe getting rid of new today would help that. And then also going to 8 stars might help that too, because then there'll be more granularity and they'll get a chance for other players to have different ratings. I kind of like getting rid of renew today. I wonder if that would really fix the problem.
It's something to think about. Well, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like that would also help with the problem of boosting, as a lot of people will do that while it's on Noob Today because there's not many other houses to go through, and it's a lot easier. So if we were not to have Noob Today, then it would be a lot harder for people to find their own houses and rate them up.
Yeah, that change would be pretty easy, to just get rid of new today and change the weighting for random. I might that may be something I could look at for the spring update. It's like that might be pretty simple.
Well, are there any other questions?
Yeah. Yeah, we just talked about boosting, right? Yeah. Can houses with bonus castle block space be updated to include more space? And why do some houses have different item space in that than others as well?
Okay, well I can tell you all. There's a bunch of answers there. The reason that castle blocks houses have extra space is because they don't have a house. So the housing space serves several purposes, and one of them is it's a measure of rendering cost. So if there wasn't a limit at all, players would put stuff in their house until their machine couldn't render it anymore. I mean, some players would do this. They would add, keep adding items until the house was unplayable. And so the limit is kind of to make, and even if you didn't do that for your house, you could make it where if somebody visited your house, it would crash the machine. Like if you're running a game, if you have a game computer and you can render lots of objects in your house, somebody else might have a laptop that just barely runs Wizard, and they'd go to your house and it would crash their laptop. So the number of items is kind of a limit to make it reasonable. And for the castle block houses, since they don't have a house, they don't have to render the house. So the idea was you could have some extra objects that were the castle blocks because you didn't have to render the house, so you could render those instead. And along the similar lines, the reason we gave an extra limit for Castle Magic is those objects aren't rendering when you're walking around. Those only show in object placement mode. So that gives you there's a budget there. They're not actually costing time to render when you're walking around. So that was the idea behind those extra limits. We have gradually increased the number of items that you can place in your house as machines have gotten better. So I think we've increased it once or twice by 50. So maybe it's 100 more than when we launched. And we'll keep increasing it, but there are some problems. The UI wasn't built to support hundreds of items, and so looking at items 8 at a time when you have pages and pages of items is not a very fun experience. And then we save all these items in a database, and so the having to send all these items to you and to other players also impacts performance. It impacts you can get to a house, and so there's some other. So the item limit is to just make the house reasonable, but there are some limits to how unreasonable we'll let you go. So that's reasonable. That's the kind of history behind it and why we have it.
And I'll just chime in here too. As we have done the increases, as we've seen the minimum machine specs coming up,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I've seen us do in the past few years. But we still always have to make sure to support the people that have the absolute oldest and worst machines that they still play on, because we don't want to make any experience unplayable.
Awesome.
Well, moving on to the next question.
Sorry, just quickly.
Currently with Castle Magic.
Can the stream
What happened,
hear?
Daniel?
I think I'm cutting off a little bit with the voices. Is everything okay with the stream? Can you guys hear everybody?
I've been able to hear everyone.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Sorry, yeah, I was just getting messages saying, "Oh, you're cutting off a bit, you're lagging."
Oh, okay.
But we can continue.
Alrighty. So currently with Castle Magic, decorating can become pretty expensive. Are there any plans on making Castle Magic and Castle Magic spells less expensive, as well as being able to sell the spells at the bazaar?
Well, I can tell you why it's expensive. It's because because there's a surplus of things that give you gold, and so it's just another way to subtract gold to even out the economy. So that's kind of the reason that they have, that they're not completely free. I mean, the cost was kind of arbitrary. I just kind of picked some numbers and said, this seems like a reasonable cost. I mean, I wonder if we could do we could look at reducing it or giving you a discount.
It's a wonderful gold sink. I like it. I approve.
Yeah, I didn't know if you want to use sinks and faucets, but yeah, that's why it's there, is because it's a gold sink.
Awesome.
Keeping the economy more in balance and in check is one of the things that we've been trying to work on over the last few years, and Castle Magic is actually a good place for a good sink there, and it doesn't take very long to go find the gold.
Yeah, for sure. Like Helfing and Esfrick, I think his name is. They drop a really good amulet that you could sell to bazaar for a lot of gold.
Gardening is a really good way to get gold too.
Sorry, Professor Falmea, you were going to say something?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna agree. So no worries.
Awesome.
Right. Well, that moves us to our next question, which is that currently we have a Castle Magic spell, to teleport all players or the nearest player from anyone in the area. Would it be possible to create a new spell that teleports the specific person that triggers it?
It's certainly possible. I'm trying to think of, we don't have any other spells that do that, where they target the player that, I guess it's a little tricky because the player that triggered it could have been a few objects ago. Like it could go through a reflector, it could go through a timer, so there's not, that's why I did the near thing, is because there's not a guaranteed player doing it. But I could say it fails if there's not a player doing it. I could say I could do something like that. Would that be enough?
I would say so. It's mostly because whenever we're using Castle Magic to try and teleport players, it'll just grab a random person from across the house, like someone who wasn't anywhere near the trigger. That's especially a problem with doing a jump detector to maybe get unstuck and people can be teleported across the entire area.
I think I may have a bug about that, where the closest one is not the closest one. I have a list of bugs. I'm going to try to fix a few in the spring update, and I think I may have a bug about that, where must be doing something wrong. So I could try to make nearest actually be nearest.
That would help a lot. Thank you.
Awesome. Alrighty. Next question. Currently, we have world furniture set packs that end at Chrysalis. Are there any plans to add new furniture set packs from the recent or future worlds?
That's probably a me question, and I don't know. Let me get some stats together and figure out if it's worth doing, and then I'll see about adding it to the future milestones for us.
Cool.
Okay, so I think that wraps up the present question. So we're going to be moving on to, I guess, future ideas. So our first question in future would be, would it be possible to dye castle blocks so that we can have more of a variety in colors, as well as creating castle blocks themed from different worlds? What would be the limitations on creating new castle blocks and different textures for castle blocks?
So I'm not sure what I can say about that. I guess maybe what I could say is I've done some R&D. Me and an artist have experimented with applying any wallpaper or tile to castle blocks, but it's not currently scheduled to be released. We're just experimenting, so I don't know what the time frame would be. The one downside is that it's a whole new set of castle blocks that, because the existing castle blocks weren't exactly the right size to be tiled, the artist made a new set and so it's a little unfortunate that it would have to be another set. But it is kind of neat that, I mean, because we have hundreds of wallpapers and tiles, and so it really expands the look of what you can do. So we've done some R&D with that, and so it's possible that we'll do something in the future, but I don't know. I mean, it could be a while before we actually have it ready to be shipped.
I think overall we would really love it if we could have more variety in castle blocks, like from different worlds such as Aquila or Marleybone, or more organic textures like dirt or grass or clouds, so we can have a lot more variety with our builds.
And there's wallpapers and tiles for all that. So I think being able to put wallpaper and tile on the castle blocks would solve the problem. The way in the R&D, what I did is it's kind of like a palette where you can have, I think you can have 7 of each in each section of the house, and you can just say, oh, these walls are this one, and these floors are that one. But I think that will solve the problem, because making the unique ones, it's just really artist intensive. That's why we haven't made any more, is because it takes an artist a long time to have to make each of these pieces in a particular style. But if we could wallpaper or tile them, I think that's the solution, because then we have hundreds of them, and we do have, we have grass textures, we have underwater textures, and so I think that will allow for the variety that people want.
It'll be cool.
Awesome.
So no promises on when we'll actually ship that, but we have done some R&D on it, and I have seen some stuff that actually works.
Cool. Okay. Do you guys think it's ready? It's time to give away the code.
Ooh, a code. I wonder what that could be.
Nice.
Oh, let me make sure that's turned on.
Is it working?
I haven't tested it. Do you want me to go test it real quick?
If you want to,
It
it's
should
up to
be
you.
fine, but feel free. We'll see what happens.
Wait, the code or the code, the 1,000 codes?
The code for multiple people.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's always a question for us on KI Libraries. Double check that one. It should be fine. We tested it, so go for it.
Awesome. Are you guys ready? Is the stream ready for this? Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Boom. There you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't look like they're excited.
Not the one for the airship, the other one.
Yeah, that's the one I just posted on the screen. Hope you guys can see it, right? It's up there, right? Yeah, it should be. There you go.
Ah, I see it.
Awesome. Okay.
Now there's a limit to this code, right?
Yes, it's the first 1,000 redeems. So the first 1,000 people that redeem it will get. What are they gonna get, Spark? A small.
A rainbow
Oh,
bridge.
rainbow! And I checked it out. I put it in well, actually, I put it in a couple of my houses.
Awesome.
Rainbow Bridge.
I like the comment
Oh.
from chat that you should have pulled a Spark and given us hints and made everybody
It
guess.
gets
We
it
thought
too quick.
about that, but okay. So this is my fault. We thought about that. It was your guys' proposal, Daniel, and I kind of said, well, you've got a lot going on, so maybe we shouldn't do that. So maybe next time we'll do it then.
Right, and that leads us to our next question. Will it ever be possible to collaborate with other players to decorate homes together? Since guilds are not in the game right now, what are the limitations on group housing projects?
So there's a limitation with the actual objects. I'm not storing who owns them. So when I did this, when I started this back in 2006, I wanted to make objects as cheap as possible. So a chair that's just sitting there, actually, it costs 13 bytes in the database for a simple object that has no extra functionality. And so there's no tracking of who owns it. It's just assumed that the owner of the house owns it. And so that'll be a problem when we allow multiple people to decorate a house, is that I won't be able to tell, oh, that was your chair. So but we have discussed some things, and so they're check back in a few milestones.
All right,
Good idea.
thank you.
Awesome. Next question. Is there a way where we could tell the cardinal
It's so weird that we're planning stuff out for next year.
It's just part of the game, man. We're always thinking, okay, well, it's 2021. What are we doing for 2022? Maybe 2023?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good, it's a good point. Like, we come up with all these awesome ideas. We get, like today, a lot of ideas from the community, and from this isn't for everything, and Professor Falmea and others, correct me if I'm a little off on this, but typically when we get an idea, we first see it, it's not going into the game next week, right? It's going to be months, maybe a year or even more if it's a big deal, and that's assuming we can do it at all, of course. So there's a lot of planning going on there, and it's not just like we have so many things we got to add to the game, just for housing even. We want to make sure we get it right and that it's fun for all of you as well.
Yes,
There's
for sure.
infinite amount of ideas out there. Some of them great, some of them not quite as great. But there are a finite amount of us developing the game, and we have backlogs of a decade of things that we want to do too, and we're always looking to the community for their ideas, and you guys have really great ideas too. So we just have this like big list of things that we want to do, and it's just all about like picking as many as we can each update and figuring out what's cool. So
well, that's actually a good question for the chat, if I may. I'd be curious to know, everybody in chat that has a house or is interested in housing, assuming you're watching the chat here that you're interested in housing, name something for us. Just go ahead and type it in the chat. Anything that's in the game that's not housing that you would like to be housing, something that's not in the game at all that you would like to be in housing in some way, a new house idea. What is your top, like, oh, I wish they would make that? Let us know.
This will be interesting to see.
I'm excited to see what
Can I
they
just
say.
say no bathroom stuff, please?
I'm excited to see what they're gonna say.
Slam
that's
toilet
weird.
seats.
Oh, look at those pretty paintings.
Wow, somebody already has spring?
Yeah, I just saw it and then I wanted to show it off.
That must have been a lot of Beast Moon.
It must have.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost finished the progress bar in Beast Moon last week myself, and I was pretty happy about that, but they must have done a lot more.
On my normal account, I have every Scroll of Fortune painting. I have So
you're so dedicated.
So we have 6. Well, up until spring, so I have all 6. Spring will be the 7th one.
my goal. I have goals this
Yeah.
spring to actually get through the Scroll of Fortune completely. I need at least that pet jewel. Like I have to have that pet jewel.
I'm
Well,
s- I'm
I
super
coded-
excited for
I
this
co-
beanstalk.
I coded the scroll fortune, so I feel like I need to make sure it works.
And I implement the Scroll of Fortune.
So you should make
it's
sure it
been my
works, yeah.
baby. It's been my baby ever since it launched.
A few
The
interesting ideas coming into chat already here. We've got a few kitchen items, like a full kitchen, a refrigerator, interestingly, and then on the other side of things was a day-night cycle.
Ooh.
Yes. We actually have some questions related to the day-night.
and I have,
cycle
I have some answers for that. So you want to do that question next?
Yeah, since we brought it up already. We do have it.
That's number 11.
So this one is, since it's difficult changing existing areas for lighting and skyboxes, would it be possible to create a new house / bundle that can really change the skyboxes and have a flat surface of land to work with? What is the process behind creating the different skies and terrain?
Well, so I have a different. I want to answer a different question, which is could we change the sky in existing houses?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we could. I mean, from a technical standpoint, it wouldn't be very hard to let you pick a different sky. I think the main thing would be that we'd have to make sure that the art department would be okay with that, because in some houses the lighting is baked into the objects. So like in dark houses they have dark lighting, and in light houses they have lighting baked into the textures. And so if you like made a sunny day in the Darkmoor house, I wonder if that would look weird. But if our art department was okay with that, from a technical standpoint, we could probably support it.
Speaking for the art department, since they're not here, it would indeed look really like you would think, oh, it'll look fine, maybe just a little bit off. It looks really weird when you put a night sky on a house that is lit up for midday. I could see maybe if we had some like different skies that were kind of similar, that the lighting could apply, but we don't have the ability to do that dynamic lighting based on the skybox.
This is a. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that we did do one day, one night, and I think it was evening or something like that. I don't remember. We back in the day, what, 5 or 6 years ago, but we had to make 3 completely different houses. It wasn't just slap the skybox on and it works. It was 3 almost separate development efforts in terms of lighting and texture. So
this is a really good point on other areas of the game that we won't get into today. That as they were developed, we talked about, we use words like static and baked in, and there are other areas of the game that are like that too. So a lot of the things in general that the community wants to see, like give us more colors for this and that and whatnot, it's not like we have a palette that we can just, okay, let's add more color, done, and you can choose which ones dynamically, done. It's a lot of it just doesn't quite work like that, so it takes us a little bit longer to, if we can do it at all, to make it happen.
Okay, this fire school looks amazing. Sorry to put that in here, but...
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I approve.
Yeah.
I approve a lot. Yeah.
So let's answer the original question here too. I think we probably could create a new house that we could let you change the sky on, because we could aim for like a midday and then let you make variations that weren't too far away from it, maybe.
Like different weather options.
Yeah. So something like that may be possible. I'd like to do more flat houses, like let's see, we have one. What was it? It's that Avalon house. We have one that you can build on. I'd like to do more of those.
Yeah.
The Avalon plot or whatever it's called.
Exactly.
All right, well, moving on to our other question. Is there a way that we can tell the cardinal directions in a castle? There's castle magic spells for north, south, east, west, and currently we have to test it out with each spell to see which direction it goes.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Uh, I needed a way to describe. So what those are really doing is they're going negative x, negative y, negative z, positive z, and so I didn't want to say that because that felt like too confusing to players. So that's why I went with north, south, east, west, up, down. Um, but but I could give you something to say as like a guide. I guess that's an interesting idea. Maybe
And
hmm,
piggybacking off of that, other castle magic spells that have a range for tiny, small, large. Can we get a little radius that tells us how big that area is, similar to guarding spells?
that's a little more complicated. Let's see, how could I do that? Because I guess I don't know. I'd have to think about how I could display that. I mean, I could even use the gardening circle. I could use that same thing and just scale it up, scale it to the right size. But I'm not sure how I'd present it. Would be that because those options are in the item, and so I'd need to have like a preview area or something to let you see, or maybe when you clicked on it, I could show it to you, like I'm doing in pet breadcrumbs. When you click on a pet breadcrumb, I show little arrows to show where how it's connected to the other breadcrumbs. Maybe I could do something. Oh, and I guess when you with a castle magic spell, I'm pointing out when it's connected to another object. So maybe I could when I'm doing that, I could show you a preview of the range. I could look at that. There may be something I could do there. I'll add that to my list too.
I was gonna say, are we writing all these down? Because this is good stuff.
Yeah, I'm making notes of the things I'm committing to.
I've also been doing the same for the things that I said I looked into, because gotta follow through with these things.
Yeah.
We're at about our hour though.
Yep, we're at 1 hour. How are y'all doing?
Are there any questions left?
Oh, yes, we do have questions left.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I can stay longer if there's if that's okay.
It's okay with me. It's up to you guys.
Well, if we're all okay, we can. If anybody has to go, it's a round table. It's not like we're chained to it. So if anybody has to drop out at any point, I'd say that's totally cool. I'm able to stick around. I'm fascinated by learning more of all these things and the great questions by you guys in the community. It's been some really good ones, that's for sure. Whenever you hear the developers say something like, "Oh, I didn't think of that," or "Oh, that's a really good idea," you've got something. So we've heard that a few times already. So great job, everybody. Let's go a little bit longer.
Hey, I saw. I'm sorry. I saw in chat somebody asked how many players can be at your house, and so I can answer that for you.
I actually want to know that too, to be honest.
Okay.
Good question.
So I'll tell you a funny story. The first house we did was the Massive Fantasy Palace. Well, when that came out, it was like really popular because it was so huge and it was kind of unusual. And so we had lots of people would go to the people that had a Massive Fantasy Palace, and we ran into this problem of that the owner couldn't go back. That their house would fill up and then they couldn't go to their house. So we added a restriction so that the owner can always go to their house. So it's actually 99 plus the owner, and the 99 players can be in the inside or the outside of the house. So it's 99 players at your house plus we always save one slot for the owner. Because of that, because we ran into that problem of the owner couldn't teleport to their house because there was 100 players at their house.
That's honestly crazy. I never knew that it was actually that high of a number.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun to play some of the housing games with 100 players is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I didn't know that either, to be honest.
Okay,
Awesome.
I guess we'll continue.
Tag with like 100 people, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
That would be chaotic.
Yeah, it devolves to chaos. They work better in really big houses with a lot of players.
Yeah, there's more space to run around.
Yeah.
So another question: what's the process behind creating signage, customizable signage? Would it be possible to have more of a custom way to enter text into signs, also having more directional preset signs?
So we have the menu chat signs to make them safe because we want everybody to see the signs, and we can't show text that you type to players who only have menu chat.
Mm.
So our housing signs are menu chat safe, but it's pretty easy to add new phrases. And so as players have suggested phrases over the years, I've added lots of phrases, I could easily I could add more. So if you post in our forums or you post in Central, or if you send an email to any of the folks here, and let me know what you'd like to add as a sign, I could add them. But I don't think that we're gonna I don't think we'll ever allow you to freely type stuff. I think that would probably that'd be too dangerous.
I also will say no to that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We get more options for saying like inside or outside of a castle because we have, off-grid builds and stuff like that where we have a teleporter that goes inside so you can rate the house,
Mhm.
and people don't seem to realize that it goes inside and they think the house is unable to be rated.
Okay. Well, first of all, send Mathew a list of any phrases that you'd like added, and he'll forward them to me, hopefully. But like I said, it's not very hard to add them, so I'm happy to add. I've added a few every milestone, so I could add more. So if there's some things that you'd really like to be able to say, I could add them. But the other thing is, I'd like to get rid of that restriction. It's just really complicated. The easiest way that I could fix that would be if I made some object that you could place in your house that said that you only have to rate the outside. Like if I made if it was like I don't know what it would be a rating the outside barrel, and maybe it's a recipe that you use tokens for, but if you put the easiest thing would be is if I made an object that symbolized that you only had to rate the outside. It's a little. I could also make it an option when you added your house to the tour, but that's a lot more complicated. That's on the order of like maybe it could take 4 days or a week, or I don't know. It's pretty complicated to add that to, and then it's complicated because we have to add the option, and then we have to save the option in the database, and then when players go to the house, we have to remember the option so that when they go in the inside and outside, I know that you don't have to go in the inside to rate it. Whereas if there was just an object, I could just go look for the object and say, oh, there's the object that lets you bypass having to go to the inside. I mean, there may be some other clever way that we could handle that, but I'd like to fix that restriction. We added that restriction just so that we didn't want players to superficially rate houses, and so that's why
sure.
that's why there's the badge restriction. I'm sorry. That's why we limited the number of badges, and that's why you have to go to the inside and outside. And also, I put a short timer on before you can rate. There's like it was like 15 seconds or something. But it's just we didn't want players to just superficially go and say, oh, I've rated the houses, I'm done. We want players to look at them and consider their merit. And so that was. But I didn't expect that players had houses that you couldn't get to the inside of for reasonable reasons. And so I'd like to come up with some solution. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get to it or what it would be.
That housing item that you have to interact with, I'm guessing, to allow you to leave without visiting the inside. I really like that. That's really interesting.
Well, I'm actually thinking you wouldn't have to interact with it. You just put it because this is the owner saying, this is a way that the owner could say, I'm fine if they just rate the outside, because you're basically opting out of the having to rate both areas then. So letting the owner decide that is fine. It's just we don't want the visiting player to decide that, because then they'll say, oh well, I this is a 2-star house, this is a 1-star house, or they just rate everything 4 stars and get their badge credit, and then they're done, or get the credit for the event. And so but I'm fine with the owner deciding that. It's just figuring out the easiest way to let the owner tell me that. And so strangely, an object in your house would be the easiest way. If we made some object that was the only have to visit the outside object, then that'd be the easiest way, because I could just scan the house for it when you're visiting the house. I could say, oh, do you have this object? Okay, now you don't have to go in the inside. And so just placing that object in your house would let me know, and so that'd be the easiest. Having to do it with some UI is a lot harder.
Okay. So moving on to another question. How would the programming work if we had a customizable window similar to how preset signs work? Like a window that could show different weather effects such as rain or sunshine or snow.
So I like that idea. I've been trying to get animated paintings for a long time. I've been trying to get animated paintings, because so Harry Potter has portraits that animate. I was thinking we could have paintings that the environment animates. Like you could have it rain, or you could have like the moon go across the sky, or have leaves fall, in the painting. I thought,
So Gary,
That would be awesome.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
cut in real quick. I'll share my screen with you a little bit later. Jeff Tony just finished one of those for us, and I almost have it working.
oh really? Because
Yeah.
I did talk to him about that, my desire that we do that, and so
Yep,
So-
he got me
So
a
there-
whole bunch of them. And
Okay,
I've
oh,
seen
awesome.
some cool stuff. Yeah.
Okay, well, so I've been trying to get somebody to do that for a long time, and I can't wait to see them. But so I was thinking that your windows are basically animated paintings. So if we had an animated painting, we could have a view of a window that, whatever you wanted to show, that could have the sun move across the sky, or it could have a sunset or whatever. And so it's just another animated painting. But I like the idea of doing windows. I think we should do more windows just as paintings, because, well, actually what I've been wanting to do, and we've talked about a little bit, is making new houses where all the windows were housing objects.
Ooh.
That they come that way, because that way you could put the windows where you want them. We already have this tech to deliver housing objects with a house. We use it in a couple places, like the castle block houses use it. All the castle blocks are housing objects that we deliver with the house. And the treetop getaway comes with a tag game, I want to say, so there's like we pre-place an object. So we have this tech. In fact, your dorm room works that way too. When you go to your dorm room for the first time, we give you a bunch of housing objects, and so we could build a house where all the windows were basically paintings, that we just put them in where we want them in the house, and then we deliver them so that you could move the paintings around. And so I think that would be a really cool idea. It's just getting that executed. We haven't done that yet, but I really like the idea of letting you move around all the windows.
I like it. I like
That
that
sounds
one a lot.
awesome. Yeah.
That's
That would
exciting.
be amazing.
Alrighty.
Before the
Ideas.
work from home thing happened last year, Scott Harper and I were actually talking about making an entire set of nothing but windows. So I'm going to revive that email thread.
Well, one of the next houses we do, we ought to consider making, trying this, making them housing objects, and then because if they're already building the windows into the house, it wouldn't be that much harder to make them housing objects, and then it might actually be faster, because they wouldn't have to place them into the scene. They could just do them once and then have a designer place them. But yeah, that's just an idea.
Awesome. Alrighty. This is our final question for today. How do you see the housing feature go in the future?
There's lots of things that we haven't done yet. I mean, we can keep expanding it. I wrote a design for a new housing related feature back in December that I'm hoping maybe next year we'll get to. So it has lots of room for expandability. So there's lots of things that we could do in the future.
I can't wait to see. I'm so excited.
Super excited.
Alrighty. Is it time to roll the winner for the airship?
Yeah.
See who wins the airship.
Are you guys ready? There's a lot of entries.
Good luck,
Alrighty.
guys.
Alrighty, here we go. Here we go. Did I disconnect, by the way? No, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Drum roll, please.
We're closing the entries. Boom.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.
And
I'm gonna laugh if I win.
Did you enter?
I was going to say anything.
I'm trying to press close entries, but it won't work. Hang on. Hang on. I'm gonna try to refresh this. It should still work. One sec. While we're waiting.
While you're doing that, I want to say thank you for all of those in chat, community members all over the place interested in housing, and hopefully, I mean, we got a lot out of it, and hopefully you did too this hour. Are we putting this? What if somebody missed the live stream? Will they be able to watch it somewhere else?
Yes, I'm gonna download the broadcast today, and then I'll probably upload it tomorrow, and I'll tweet that out. And I'm hoping Spark you'll share
Yeah,
that
we
out
can-
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll help share it, and since you'll have that, somewhere else, we can put that in our next newsletter and keep, put it in all the areas we normally do.
With
Awesome.
the questions that we weren't able to get to today, we can send you those after we wrap up here.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Alrighty, here we go. Here's the button. Are you ready? 3,
Yeah.
2, 1, boom.
Ooh.
Congratulations.
Retail
Woo!
Retail Heck, you are the winner. Congrats. I'm gonna need you to whisper me, if you could do that. Are they still in the chat? Hopefully they
It
are.
looks like they've left. I don't
Oh,
see them
next
in chat
person.
anymore.
Okay, I guess they're not in here.
You must be present to win. Is that a rule?
Yes.
Yeah, you
yes.
still have to be here in order to win.
Alrighty, here we go. We're gonna have to re-roll this one. Okay, next winner. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Purple Cricks.
Congratulations, Purple.
I see them in chat.
Awesome. Purple, would you like to whisper me really quick?
Somebody said he left too.
Did he?
Oh
Next,
no.
I see them in chat.
Oh,
I still have a chance.
I could probably
maybe they were trolling.
I could probably whisper them and see if they reply.
You must be present, and you must respond.
Chat. I saw them talk.
I got to take off, but thank you everybody for having us on here. I really enjoyed the Housing Roundtable. I hope we get to do another one sometime in the future when we've had more things that we've been able to put in after talking about these things. Everyone have a good day. For me, I will talk to you later.
Thank you so much for having
Thank you
us.
for your time.
For
Uh,
everything.
This was awesome. Thank you guys. Your community in chat has been so kind and nice. I've been enjoying watching everything and haven't had to moderate anything. And I enjoyed watching you go through all the cool castles. Like I was watching the stream probably a little bit more than I should.
That's okay. That's
So,
totally fine.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, and I hope you can find a winner.
Oh, they replied to me, so
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
so they're gonna get their
Alright,
prize.
awesome.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I had a blast.
An amazing experience.
Thank you so much for your time.
If you guys
Thanks for all the suggestions.
If you guys do want to check out Ducky and Emily, I do have commands for them. You guys can follow them on their social medias. They're amazing. You guys should check out their houses as well.
And we will be sending you those questions after this.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. And good luck to anybody who's congrats to the winner already of the giveaway, and the other one's still going on. We have not given out all 1,000 of the small rainbows, so you still have a chance to get that too if you want to, enter the code in. I don't know if somebody wants to pop up the code in chat again.
Oh yeah, we should probably bring it back just for the people that showed up late.
Yes, here, I'll go back here and then it's right there. That's the code, guys. Alrighty. I can't wait to see the future of housing. I'm so excited to work more and create more stuff.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot of really cool stuff in the future. We've already gotten so much in the past few months, but after talking with them today, I'm really excited.
Yeah, same. It's just I feel like the possibilities are endless for sure.
Awesome. Alrighty, chat. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream route. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.